All right, so we're live. I'm gonna ramble for a minute. Let people see the live stuff come up. See that we get a couple people before I start doing too much talking. Um, Anyone that's ever seen me or heard me in any different space that I've been in where I've been allowed to talk knows I can keep things going for a really long time if I want to. So that's not too hard. And that's not because I'm just a loudmouth. It's because I really do like talking about tech and I like talking about stuff and helping people and things like that. So I have a lot of fun in doing those kinds of things. Um, but yeah, it's time today. Hang on here. Like I said, I want to see a couple of joins start to come up here. Oh, there we go. We're finally getting people joining in. All right. Didn't take too long. That's good. So, like I said, I want to see a couple of people join at least. But yeah, that's we're gonna have our talk today and hopefully have some fun. I'm planning on having some fun at least. You guys are gonna get a chance to see me um, code. I'm gonna say code because it's gonna be HTML code live. There we go, Bob. And now you get to see you get to see your comments. At least until we do a screen share. Once we do a screen share, I'm gonna have to let that go because I want people to be able to see. But at least for now, we'll do that while I'm doing the talking portion here. Um, so yeah, one I will mention, even though I won't go through, is the canvas tag. That probably was probably, in my opinion, that was probably the coolest and most interesting addition to HTML5 was the HTML canvas element. Um, Anyone that's heard me talk anyone that's seen some of my recent posts, I'm actually doing some HTML canvas work right now. So uh, and it's not like I just learned about it. I've known about it since HTML5 came out. I thought it was amazing even back then. Although back when it first came out, I don't think uh, computers were yet caught up yet. GPUs and things of that nature weren't really the norm. They are pretty much now. And so the sites that were out there, that while interesting and while yes they were showing 3D, they were kind of limited in how much you could do with them. But those limitations have very quickly started to disappear because of technology catching up, because of GPUs being commonplace. My new Mac here has a 10 core GPU, so it's got just an unreal fast GPU. I mean, you should have seen my last Mac. I was trying to use Blender with it, and it would give a warning whenever I opened up Blender. This may not work, and it did work, but yeah, I'd sit there and I would try to render just a basic square on, a basic 3D square on the screen, and it would take over 4 minutes. So, if you have a you know a computer that doesn't have a GPU and you're trying to do graphics intensive stuff, it's a nightmare. It can really be tough. So that's one of the reasons I went with the new laptop, is because I'm going to be trying to taking on more of these canvas related things and stuff like that. Like I said, I have the side client right now, and that's the reason for learning this. But it's definitely going to be something I'm going to try to be learning about, and I'm hoping before too long I can start showcasing some of those things. What I'd like to do is I'd like to go 2 streams a week. That's what I'd like to do. A stream about this, because I know this stuff like the back of my hand, and I still do it every day. And then the canvas stuff and the web interactive 3D, because let's be honest, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, it's one of those things you can see instantaneously. You can watch it happening in front of you, and you can see the results almost instantaneously. So really, really cool stuff. Hopefully, I get to that point. I probably won't be able to start doing that until I get done with this current client. But this client's going to be a lot of teaching. It's going to learn, and going to help me learn a lot of things, and then I'll be able to start showcasing and maybe teaching as well out to everyone else. So that's the idea, at least. Yeah, I've rambled on long enough again. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this, guys. But I appreciate everyone who showed up. I hope it was at least somewhat entertaining. And like I said, next time HTML5, definitely some CSS in there. basics of layout and how they work. Um, yeah, probably a similar example to what we saw today, but just maybe a little bit better. I'm hoping. Hopefully, I can come up with something that's a little bit better. Maybe not CodePen, maybe JS so I can actually jump to different contents, but I'm not quite sure how that would work. I'll try to figure out what I'll do. But yeah, hopefully next time, much nicer looking, and you'll see the simplicity that we have now and how good we have it. 'Cause I think a lot of the younger devs who haven't experienced this type of thing and how hard it was for us back in those times don't really appreciate what we have nowadays. And that's why when you see me support things, like a good example. Here I am. I said I was going to stop, and here I'm going off on a tangent. For example, you'll see me support something like Tailwind, and people are all against it. Oh, Tailwind's semantically wrong, and this and that, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And I can understand what they're saying. And yes, 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 you should hand code all of your CSS because CSS was made for that, and this and that, and blah 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 blah. And while I understand those things, and I know what they're saying, and I know that putting CSS in JavaScript is not really necessarily the best, try managing a massive site, an absolutely massive site, that's been in the development for 3 years, and you don't have one CSS file, you don't have two, you have 15, you have 20, you have 50 of them, and you're trying to remember all of your different classes. You can try, and I've seen so many things tried. I've seen people try BEM. Anyone's ever tried that before? I just wanted to. I worked at a site. I wanted to blow my brains out. BEM. It was just so. It was so hard to wrap your head around it, and as a concept. And there's all these things to try to manage the complexities of CSS. And yes, I understand that turning to frameworks isn't always the answer. But in the case of Tailwind, the reason I really like it is because it's less of a framework. It's not like it has its own particular stylings. You apply a class, and that class represents a particular setting for CSS. It's basically like handwriting CSS. Yes, I know you're basically trading off a bloated CSS file for a bloated HTML file, and I understand people say that. There are ways though to make it to where you don't have to write those really long classes like that. There are frameworks and there are libraries out there. The one I use is Class Names. I brought that up before, and you can actually then put your classes in there, and you can set different situations for different times when different classes get applied and all of that kind of stuff. So that's why I support these things, because if you look at stuff like this stuff will drive you nuts. It really will. It'll absolutely drive you nuts. So whenever you can take a chance to make something easier for yourself, yeah, maybe it's not the most semantically right thing to do, and maybe that's not where the technology was meant to go, but that's what's great about technology, is that you can make it work the way you need to. And as long as you're not causing problems, then what's really the problem? Yeah, okay, if you're doing your own thing and you want to do CSS, you want to handwrite your CSS, and you can sit there and you can actually 3 years later remember where every single class is and what classes to apply to what, then man, you are much better than I am, because I've got so much that I shove into here. I can't remember that 2 years from now. I haven't touched a class, and so this section of classes over here in 2 years. I'm not going to remember that. There's no way I'm going to remember that. So, and of course, I saw an article not that long ago that talked about modules and components, and how you can have component specific things and things like that. And yes, I agree with that too. I don't know. It's all just to me, those type of things are things that people just want to fight about just to fight about. I don't like to fight about it. If you like Tailwind, use Tailwind. If you like standard CSS, use standard CSS. For me, I like using things that make my life easier. That's what it comes down to me, because I do so much. I don't need to waste my time. And so that's how I feel about it. But others feel it differently. I'm sorry. That's my soapbox for the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off, guys.